What's up, everybody? Welcome to Tesla Fix. My name is Jan, and today we are looking into a special topic which we've already talked about on this channel a lot, which is, of course, we have to talk about the Cybertruck, because this is such a milestone for Tesla moving forward for other vehicle categories like the Tesla van, for example. And to discuss these topics and, of course, the competition, we have to talk with our man, our best man from Best in Tesla. Here is Lars, and we're gonna start the episode now.
Welcome to Tesla Fix. Make sure to subscribe and like this episode.
So Lars, thank you for being on again. As always, I pretty much enjoy your conversation, your company here. So Lars, the Cybertruck, please. You have to talk about the Cybertruck here. But first, for our audience who maybe don't know Lars, Lars has a huge channel, Best in Tesla. I'm a subscriber to his channel as well. So please, everybody, subscribe to his channel on the top right if you haven't subscribed. But I assume all my audience knows you, and so yeah.
One big happy
Lars,
family.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So how are you doing, Lars? What are you working on? Maybe you can tell the audience what's up with you, and then we're gonna start the episode.
Yeah, busy as always, as Tesla is very busy doing stuff right now and coming out with refreshed Model 3s probably soon, maybe at the same time at the Cybertruck event. So,
oh, this would be awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so I hope they're going to do like one more thing, and here is the refreshed Model 3 as well.
So, yeah, pretty exciting stuff going on. Of course, yeah. When Tesla has a lot to do, if their news are out, of course, you have a lot to do because you cover so great topics of Tesla all the time. I really enjoy your videos. And in the past few weeks, you put out so many bangers of episodes. I ate them all up. So I highly recommend the channel here. But so Lars, okay, let's just dive in. So what do you think about the Cybertruck release going nearer and nearer? Because of course we had many people, many doubters talk about the Cybertruck like, yeah, it will never come out and everything. We've heard it. It's vaporware. Oh, look at this. It doesn't even. It won't look like this. And now what we see is a lot of Cybertrucks on the road, actually, or delivered. We had some pictures there. I'm gonna pull them up while you maybe comment on the Cybertruck. What do you think about the release and how it's unfolding now? Yeah, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, it is very exciting. It has been a long wait since 2019. Cybertruck was actually not my first video, but some of my first videos was about the Cybertruck and the whole event there. So yeah, it holds a special place in my heart. Because this is just so different than anything we have seen, and
absolutely
no other company on the planet would dare to do this other than Tesla, to make such a different kind of truck. But that the Tesla haters or short sellers or whatever is saying it won't happen. That's nothing new. They have been saying that since the 2012 Model S. They said that would not happen, and people are going to make a deposit of $20,000 for a prototype, and that would never happen. And the X would never happen, and the 3 would never happen, and the Model Y was vaporware, and Tesla go bankrupt, and the semi-truck was not going to happen, and now the Cybertruck was not going to happen. But they're all coming true. The Cybertruck is out. That was really cool that Pepsi is testing them, and they had a nice video just a while back showing off some of the pretty good numbers of that truck. That was really, really great insight to that semi-truck. But yeah, absolutely. The Cybertruck it's going to be such a huge milestone for Tesla, but not just because we've been waiting for 4 years, but it's going to be such a dramatically change in an electric car that we have never seen, in cars in general that we have never seen before. So I think that's just very, very interesting on its own, that this is going to be such a different kind of beast that, the world has never seen before. And I think that is why also it is the most pre-ordered vehicle in history We are closing in on 2 million vehicles in pre-orders. Maybe not all will go through, but I bet you that just as many is going to come afterwards when we start to see this ripping down the
That's
streets.
crazy.
And Tesla is going to reveal all the specs, because we have to remember we don't know anything about this truck really. Not much, because it's all been like 500 plus miles of range, and it can charge with 250 plus and so on. So we don't know the real numbers of this truck really, except maybe the 0 to 60 or something like that. But I think it's going to be a much better truck and capable truck than people might realize. And I think the people that like Jim Farley, I think he's usually very nice when he's talking about Elon and Tesla, and very respectful. But when it comes to the truck,
Yeah.
he's really scared of this truck, because
That's true.
there's something about the truck is like the front looks small in the pictures, the leaked pictures, and Jim Farley was on Twitter straight away like, "We have a big truck, a big front," and
Yeah.
it's not a real truck; it's for the Silicon Valley people and stuff like that. So that's not going to age well, in my opinion.
That's absolutely true. I think this truck will surprise people, and absolutely agree. Even if the front is a little bit smaller, I mean, we've seen some aerial shots. Sadly, I don't have them here in this episode, sadly, but we had some aerial shots comparing the Cybertruck to another category. The Model Y actually is standing right next to it, and the Cybertruck isn't as bigger as the Model Y. It's a little bit longer on the back, so this makes sense from the front. I think it's. I mean, the nose is a little bit smaller, but we have the bed, so it's a little bit longer than the Model Y, but it's reasonable. I mean, it's not as big as we thought, because they shrunken it a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, I think this would also pretty much work in Europe. Of course, many Americans, what I've heard so far, think we have so tiny roads that we can't even drive here. How is it possible? Of course, they're right. I mean, in for example, in the UK, and where they have pretty old towns or old villages, for example, very remote villages, there's a total different story. But yeah, south of Europe, of course, also pretty antique old cities. There you see smaller roads in Italy, for example. But we have Sprinter vans and everything. So we have space for the Cybertruck. So Elon, please send it to us. But how do you think the advantages of the Cybertruck are? Because it's so different. I mean, we have, for example, the weight. I know the weight is a little bit different. You've also, I think, talked about this in some episodes on your channel as well. So the weight compared to other, especially EV trucks, is totally different. So the Tesla is so good at perfecting the efficiency of the cars.
Yeah.
The weight is much lower. Sometimes the Model Y, for example, is if you compare it in their vehicle category, it's also lighter than the competition. Yeah. So how do you view the advantages or the differences of the Cybertruck in comparison to the other trucks?
I think it's going to be the first real truck that is gonna be also great at towing stuff and carrying stuff.
Yeah.
Because we already know them. The Hummer EV is pretty much a joke. I'm sorry, but
sadly,
so heavy. It can't carry much in the load even because it's just so heavy. The Silverado is going to be a great pickup truck, I think. But compared to the Cybertruck, I think it's going to fall short on pretty much everything. And they're not going to come out with the $40,000 like Ford and GM said they would, just like Tesla, because Tesla said 40,000. They of course said 40,000 for their pickup trucks, and nobody has come through with this, and Tesla will neither. So no biggie. But what GM is coming out with is the Silverado, and the starting price this year is going to be like something like $108,000. So the Cybertruck is going to look very compelling just on the price point. But both the Silverado and the F-150 Lightning can also only tow 10,000 pounds, where the
Mm.
Cybertruck can tow 14,000 pounds, and it can have more cargo in the boot as well, because it doesn't weigh as much as the other guys, because Tesla's is much more efficient with everything. So, and I think the thing about the Cybertruck having 500 plus miles of range is actually very, very important. If you are going to tow stuff, this really matters, because I think 300 miles of range in an EV, that's great for everyday driving and road trips and so on. You don't want to drive much more than 300 miles in one go anyway. I never do that. So
Yeah. You have to take a
if you're
break there.
towing a trailer with something like a boat or whatever, a huge load, and you have only 300 miles to begin with, you're probably down to 150 miles or something like that. So if the Cybertruck has more than 500 miles of range, it will come down to the range of the F-150 Lightning without towing anything. So it's actually going to have a decent range towing stuff. And they are also, it's of course speculation, but as Elon said at the reveal of the semi-truck, they were actually going to build a smaller version of the semi-truck and make a pickup truck. That was his announcement of the Cybertruck before it was called the Cybertruck and before we knew anything about it. So I think it's going to have some similarities and have some technologies that they have worked on for the semi-truck as well. And definitely like we see, like I just learned actually, that my Model 3 from 2019, when I'm just cruising along, it is only using the rear wheel motor. It doesn't use the front motor at all. And they have created what you're showing right here, the system powertrain for the semi-truck, where when it's cruising, it's only using one motor, their heavy-duty motor there, and the other two motors only activate if they have to pull or accelerate or go uphill or whatever they have to do. And I think we will see something very similar in the Cybertruck. Because we have already, I didn't know this, but yeah, my 4-year-old Tesla Model 3 actually has the technology to not pull on both engines. It has one in the front, one in the back. Here we have 3, and I think maybe a Cybertruck even going to have 4. We don't know yet, but if that quad motor is going to come out. But the efficiency here is going to be amazing. So I think Tesla is going to solve the problem of towing that EV haters has talked about for so long, that you can't tow anything with an EV. Well, you can, but no, not as long. And yes, it go down in range just like a nice car does when it's towing stuff. So so I think Tesla is going to solve this whole issue that you can't tow anything. I think the Cybertruck is going to be the first real electric vehicle that can tow over a longer distance, because the Model X has good range and can tow. I haven't seen any numbers on how much it can tow for how long and the range and stuff like that. But I think the Cybertruck is really going to show the world that you can tow with an electric truck, electric pickup truck. And I also think the charging is going to be quite high. I think this is the car that they changed into the 48 volt architecture also, but I also think the charging is going to be something new. They have been working on this next level charging for many years. I think it was back in 2020 or something like that Elon said.
It could be,
when Porsche was coming out with their 270 kilowatt of charging, and Elon posting on Twitter something like, that's child's play or something like that. So I think they're working on something big, and we know the semi-truck can charge extremely fast, but that can have different kind of battery packs in there, multiple battery packs, so we just don't know. But I think the Cybertruck 350, if that's it, I'm going to be a little disappointed because I have guessed much higher. But I think 500 plus in kilowatt hours. I think if it was only 350, I think they would just have said it at the event, because it's not that much more than the 250 they have. But saying 250 plus is because they're working on something special here, and probably some of the technologies they have from the semi-truck and so on. So I think this car can utilize the version 4 supercharger that they have, and that can speculatively, they could have up to 1,000 kilowatt of charging out of those bad boys, but at least 500 is my guess. So if they can tow far distance with the trailer and they can charge up really fast, because I think that's a big problem. Jim Farley has just been on a road trip with the F-150 Lightning, and as he said, he don't going to talk about range anxiety anymore. He's going to talk about charging anxiety. But that is not a thing with Tesla. But they only have 150 kilowatt charging on their F-150 Lightning, but it has a really big battery, 130 or something like that, kilowatt hours battery. So it takes a long time when you don't charge much more than 150 kilowatts. So I think Tesla is going to come out with it's going to have a big battery, but it can charge the hell out of it, because it's also Tesla's new 4680 cells. We haven't really seen all the good stuff from that yet, and also that the battery doesn't get overheated when it's charged, as they talked about battery day. I think we're going to see that in the Cybertruck, and they should be able to put in a lot more power than their old batteries. So I can only see they're going to have at least twice the charging speed of today's Teslas. But so I think this is going to be such a big deal for the ones that were actually wants a pickup truck to do real world work. And then on top of all of that, they're going to have a car that can do a 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. It's just bananas. This monster is going to be able to kick ass on the Tesla Model 3 Performance. So what the hell? So
can't wait for the German Autobahn to I hope this thing comes out. I'm still hoping. I had Matthew Donegan Ryan on my channel last time again, and he was at also at shareholder meeting and investor day, and he sadly said I shouldn't be so surprised if the Cybertruck, if it comes, will come very late. So very, very late. So maybe 2027, 6, something over there. And at first, the things he's heard, it's just they're going to release it in the US, then in China, and then maybe in Europe. We don't know. But let's see. I hope we have many pre-orders in Europe as well. So this also does increase the possibility that we might get it. It depends on the regulations, of course, in Europe. It's a little bit complicated because it's always like Germany is pretty like the one that dictates the regulations in Europe there, sadly, because they are the most strict ones. So they had that. Sorry for my government. But but Lars, how do you view it? Is it confirmed, or have you? I know nothing is confirmed with the Cybertruck really much, because they did a great job covering everything up and be very secretive about it. But so you've talked about the 4680s being utilized in the Cybertruck, because this information is new to me. I haven't heard that it has the 4680s. I'm a little bit surprised. Does it have the 4680s? Are there indications, or you're not really sure?
No, I'm pretty sure. Okay. I can't remember if they have actually confirmed that. But I think Elon has talked about it, that they're gonna ramp up the 4680 cells because they're gonna need that. They're not gonna make the Cybertruck with any other battery cell than the 4680 cell. So and the car is going to be built differently, also like they talked about in Investor Day, with the 85 of all controllers connecting everything electronic in the car is going to be made.
Wait a second.
In-house. You have something.
What you mean this?
They're going to be made from 85% of them is going to be Tesla's in-house connectors, where the Model Y right now is the one that has the most in-house connectors, and that is like 61 if I remember correctly. So it is going to be a different kind of beast. Everything about this car is new and untested territory, as Elon has also just been out saying that it is extremely difficult to build because there is nothing out there like it and has never been. So they have to kind of reinvent everything around this truck. But because it's going to be also so versatile, I think, even though if we look at Europe, I think maybe they're looking at the pickup truck market here and saying it's not so big in Europe. They're driving around with their trailers and stuff instead. But I think people are going to be surprised how many people that don't really use a pickup truck for pickup truck things like towing stuff and carrying stuff, or work truck, is going to want a Cybertruck, because as we don't know the price anymore, of course, but if we take the old prices and add $10,000 or something like that, it will still be one of the best bargains on the planet. There is not going to be much else out there with 500 plus miles of range and can charge with 500 kilowatts and can do 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds and have the cargo capacity of this truck with the vault on the back that can be closed, and it can seat maybe just 5 now. I think they're taking away the 6th.
Yes, this is confirmed.
60. Yeah,
this is confirmed. Matthew Donegan Ryan was on my podcast last, like I said already, and we also talked about the Cybertruck, and he said that the 5th row here on the left. Once again, my Cybertruck Insight proved true, as Martin Viecha. So we all know Martin. Martin Viecha is working for Tesla. Confirms it will have 5 seats, not 6. So yeah, the 6-seat option is off the table, but. Yeah, sad for me. I like the 6th-row seat. Of course, the more seats, the better, in my opinion. But yeah, it's okay. I think it doesn't really matter as much. But always for families, it's always a nice add-on. Of course, more seats is maybe a friend needs to lift, or when you drive around with friends of the kids or something. So this would be cool. But for that, we will have a Cybervan. I'm crossing my fingers that we're gonna have that. So.
But I think, the big SUVs kind of vehicles are very, very popular. And we can see Rivian, after they started the production of their R1S, and not the R1T, not the pickup truck, but their SUV kind of version. That is actually like 70% of all their sales right now. So I think the market for their pickup truck was not as big as they had hoped for, maybe, and that's why they started to produce the SUV version of their pickup truck to get some momentum and some scale in their production. But Tesla semi-truck, pickup truck, 5 people and huge cargo space. You can buy this as an SUV if you want to, and don't use it but you get the one with the biggest range, and the one with that's fastest, and the one with all Tesla's technology and safety and driver assist features and charging network, and it's probably going to be the fastest charging vehicle on the planet. They have some, I think, Iron in China can charge with 480 kilowatts charges. I don't know if they have come out with any of the cars to the public yet, but they have shown it off anyway that they can do that. So we have fast chargers somewhere, but I think my bet is that Cybertruck is going to be the fastest charging vehicle on the planet, definitely compared to kilowatt hours. So overall,
you heard it here first.
Yes.
and hold Lars accountable, please, if he's not right. Write hate comments on his channel, please, and dislike all his videos. Then, no, but maybe for our audience, there's a perfect segue here. Maybe to the audience now, do you think the Cybertruck will charge faster or fastest, or have you heard of anything that would be pretty interesting of a fast charging or a car or a brand that has a fast charging infrastructure or is a little bit maybe ahead of Tesla? Let us know in the comments, please, because we need to know this kind of stuff here. So if you know something in that direction, please write it down. I'm going to respond as always down below. So sorry, Lars, for the interruption, but this is a very interesting point you made here with charging. We can be very glad that the Cybertruck is on, and you've talked about pricing a few minutes ago, and I think it's interesting also here. I'm going to pull it up again, that the Cybertruck pricing, seems to be like Matthew here predicts 60,000 for the dual motor variant. I hope it's 50,000, something in that range. I think this would be such a surprise if they do that. And this would be also a very strong signal, because I think it doesn't make sense for Tesla to go back into the luxury segment or from the pricing side, that they go in the higher price bracket, because now they are on the verge of dominating the market. Actually, also they already do, but I mean in the sense of they are in a position that they can do it with their margins and everything. Of course, it makes sense if they earn more money. It makes sense for them. But I think now it's the time to adjust pricing in a way that it's going to be secured for the next couple of or the next decade, maybe, or 5 years ahead. Maybe that it's going to stabilize a little bit. I think this would be good after all this inflation and craziness going on. And if Tesla can do it, it's a perfect preparation for Model 3 Highland, of course, and the $25,000 Model 2, which I don't like the name, but of course, but the next gen vehicle. Yeah. And talking about the next gen vehicles, we have to talk now about, of course, the Model 3 Highland. And pretty interesting. The design almost seems to be more or less kind of confirmed. We don't really know, but we saw some renderings, and somebody, like rumors close to the factory in China, said it looks like the renderings we already saw. I'm going to pull some up, and also the one that was covered with a sheet that we've seen, the leak. I'm going to pull it up right now. I'm going to search for it 1 second while you respond to my question of the Model 3 Highland. Then I'm going to pull up the picture for you guys. So what do you think, Lars? The Highland is near. You said it's going to show up with the Cybertruck announcement or release. This would be awesome. Of course, everything points to that direction. But maybe you can tell the audience what was happening there and how close are we to the Model 3 Highland release?
I think we are very close. Of course, it's all just speculation. But I think if they want to make a big splash, and Tesla like to do that at their events. I think at the Cybertruck event, having the one more thing, I think would be awesome. But I can also see Tesla is just, they're not going to keep production down because they want to time it with this Cybertruck event. So maybe it will come out earlier, because I think they are very, very close. Everything points at that the line in Shanghai and Fremont is already up and running and producing these vehicles, and rumors are that they are going to produce like 1,200 a week or something in September already. So it's close. Awesome. We are really, really close on this one. So I don't think the Cybertruck is going to be ready at the same time. So it would just be fun if they made like the double yammy there with the Cybertruck. Saying, oh, by the way, we refreshed the Model 3. Thought it was time. Here you go. But I think we're very, very close, and I think, I think this is actually a bigger deal than people think it is, because it's just a refresh. We had a refresh in 2021 where they got rid of all the piano black plastic. Thank you, Tesla. Really good move. Everybody should follow that move. And then they got the new Meta console and a few tweaks on the doors and stuff like that. But not and they made the whole chrome delete on all the cars, black handles and all that. So that was a nice little refresh. Nothing they made a big splash about. But I think this one is quite different, because it's the whole production that they have gotten so much better at over the last almost 6 years since they started producing the Model 3. So the Model 3 in Fremont there's no rear casting, there's no front casting, there is nothing of all that good new stuff. And we have to remember, this is a car that is produced and delivered in 500,000 vehicles a year. So it's not even though we kind of forget the Model 3 once in a while because we're so excited about the Model Y being the best-selling car in the world, and the Cybertruck is coming. And then the good old Model 3 that kickstarted it all for Tesla to become a profitable company has kind of taken the back seat, but it's still, the second best-selling electric vehicle on the planet. So it's still good. It's going to have like 70 kilometers more range than the old version. So if Tesla is really getting rid of all the old ones and coming out with this new refresh that is better in every way. There's no stocks. They have taken a lot of things from the Plaid Model S, whether you control the thing from the screen and stuff like that. And then just tweaked it a little bit. I think that's really good. I think Model 3 from the front can look a bit funny because they have this diving nose that we are used to seeing cars with these big front. you have a motor in there, so it looked like a
Yeah.
duck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So I do understand when people say, "Yeah, I think it looked weird from the front." Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
looks kind of weird from the front as well. But otherwise, I think it's a really beautiful car. They give it a bigger lip. They're doing that to give it a little more sporty look, and then implement all the things they have learned from the Model Y production over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So this is really, in my opinion, going to reduce the production cost for Tesla dramatically. So
Yeah.
so I think, yeah, it could be cheaper than the old one, but it will be better than the old one in pretty much every single way. And the others has not caught up to the Tesla Model 3 yet. So I think this
Yeah.
could be devastating for many of the competition. They're struggling earning money on $80,000, $100,000 vehicles, and now Tesla's going to come in with something like in China that might going to cost like $20,000 in China. I think that's going to explode there. Either way, the sedan is still a very popular car, and I think it's a good thing to make it more sporty looking, because that is the whole point of sedan, in my opinion. You don't get the big SUV like the Model Y, but you get this little sporty looking car that people are looking for. So I think that is really going to go well with the people that want this kind of car. And I think there's still a huge market for it. So I think they could really boost the sale of the Model 3 dramatically, because you see that, like, we know the Chinese are coming, but so far it's in the cheaper model category, like the MG4 that is doing very well here in Europe, and also BYD's Auto 3 is doing quite good. But BYD's Han, for example, it's just too expensive here in Europe. I don't know what they're doing. It is crazy. And maybe it's something with the dealerships they're selling them through, but that cost already almost twice as much as a Tesla Model 3. It is ridiculous.
It doesn't make sense.
It is ridiculous how expensive it is. I don't know who's going to buy it. And it has sold like 154 units in the first half of this year in Europe. It's like, and the Model Y have sold over 130,000. So it's like not even comparable. And I do understand why. But if Tesla is going to come now to Europe with a car that suddenly is 15% cheaper than what we already have, and that car is, in my country, the Model 3 standard range is $1,500 more expensive than the ID.3's starting price from Volkswagen. And here, I'm sorry, but there is just no competition here between those two cars, in my opinion. So I think if they're going to lower that one, Volkswagen is talking about raising prices, and Tesla's going to come in with a better vehicle, and they're going to have much lower cost in production. So they're going to earn a great amount of money on this one, and everybody else is losing money. So nobody can follow them down there with this kind of vehicle that is that good for that low of a price. I think this is going to spell trouble for the other guys.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, you've touched on very important points, I think. The Model 3 is, like you've said, the second place, but still, that's, I think, a very popular car, also here in Europe. I mean, yeah, we've seen that in my circles, my friends' circles. I think the Model 3 is something they will buy because it's more entry level here. And I think the German and also the European market in general it's important that you get cheap EVs here that are but that are working fine and well, because we have those small smarts or for example those Fiats, the electric Fiat 500 for example.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're popular, but still the range is so underwhelming. It's not really efficient. I mean, yeah, this small car vehicle category is very important, and I think, but that's just due to the price. I think people would buy a bigger one if it would cost in the area of maybe a Model 3, when the price Highland price is like between the $25,000 car and the Model Y. I think they're gonna have so much bigger access to a new customer base even with those, and I think Tesla is starting to getting their cars in a pretty steady and pretty hard price bracket. I think they won't start to lower and raise prices like crazy, like we've seen. I think it could be that they might raise and lower the price, but I think it's going to level out now, because now they have their categories fixed, and I think now they try to position the products in those categories. And
Yeah,
I think
yes,
that's
I think really,
So-
I think what we're going to see now with the Model 3 and why I think for Tesla, the Model Y has been the cheapest one for them to produce.
Yeah.
Not the Model 3, even though it's a much
That's
smaller car.
crazy.
And they have
That's
to
so
have,
crazy.
the difference between the car, because you get a much bigger vehicle and all that. So they have to kind of keep the Model Y over the Model 3's price. But now they can finally lower the price of the Model 3, because now they're going to get all the benefits they have learned from the Model Y and
Yeah.
put that into the Model 3. So now they get the Model 3 down to the correct price and get the
Exactly.
difference between those two much better. So it's going to be exciting to see, the next generation vehicle, because
Yeah.
Tesla's getting
Yeah.
really low on price on these bad boys. So $25,000 does not seem unrealistic anymore.
Yeah, and it's absolutely stunning. And I think while I wait on my Cybertruck here, I'm gonna buy the Model 3 Highland, of course. This is a huge announcement now for the audience, because I always cried for my Cybertruck, because for the people that don't know, I still don't own a Tesla, and I wish I would. I was waiting so long, and the Cybertruck was it for me. I was like, yep, that one, immediately order it. Doesn't matter. And I wanted to rent it out. That was my plan, to rent it out for the first year or something, and then that it can accumulate amortize, or how it's called. The price that I have a small discount, so to say. Yeah, but still,
so it's a good vehicle to rent out.
yeah, it is. Yeah, but I think the Model 3 is actually pretty interesting and way underestimated. And with the Model 3 Highland, let's call it a refresh. I mean, it's a rebuild almost in some areas. They have the front and the rear casting. They have the technology now for the Model Y, and now they have the Model, like you've said, the Model Y is produced even in a lower price than the Model 3.
Yeah.
And this is crazy, actually. So it makes sense that they push it down to the right price bracket that it should be in. And it's totally exciting. What do you think the Model 3 Highland, with which cars does it compete? Because we have some cars, I think, that are pretty near and also very popular. What do you think? Which cars, even ICE cars included, not only EVs, but I think, some German brands. I have some in my head. I'm gonna tell you them after you did yours. Maybe.
Yeah, I think
play this game this way.
BMW's new i4 that looks really nice. You still have all the nostril things on the front. I think BMW have lost a little bit of their touch with their design.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Bigger nostrils. Yeah, sure, but do something else. But I do think the i4 BMW
i4, yeah.
it's a good looking car when you see it on the street. Like, that looks good. But it is not going to be able to compete on price with this Tesla Model 3. And I think this Tesla new refreshed model is going to be up there. It's not going to have the luxury of the interior, as we know from BMW and Mercedes and all these guys, because that is just not Tesla. They are a premium brand, in my opinion, and not a luxury brand. The Model S and X is more up there, but is not like Mercedes kind of stuff. So, but I think that is... Yeah, if you're looking at these two cars, and I think the Model 3 is probably going to have more range, faster charging speed, faster acceleration. It is going to be, I don't know, half price compared to this bad boy with the big nostrils in front. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good looking car. And with some decent specs all around, but it's also a BMW, so it is expensive. And I really think Tesla is hurting the old guys right now with their Model Y domination in Europe and in the world right now, because I think they're stealing from those guys, because the price point is a bit up there, but still more affordable than many of these guys. But, the Model Y can go past them, any day when it comes to speed and acceleration, but
Yeah.
also when it comes to cargo space. I mean, I was on a road trip up through Norway with my family this year, and first time I did that with the Model Y compared to my Model 3 we used to do. And the cargo space is there's just so much cargo space. You have the huge front, you have the sub trunk that is huge as well, and then you have like 700 liters of cargo space in that back one. It's amazing. You
Don't tell me that, Lars. Don't tell me that. I want to order a Model 3 Highland now, and now you tell me about cargo space, and I have a small family. That's not
you
cool.
have a small
Now
kid,
I have to.
you need big trunk space.
I know. Now I need the Model Y as well, or just the Model Y.
Your kid is
that's
going to
horrible.
say, "Daddy, why did you buy this small car?"
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to disappoint her.
Yeah.
What is that? How much cargo space is it? And she's
Is that
just
a
one and a
toy car
half.
for me, Daddy?
I think she's not as articulated right now, but she's 1.5. I don't think she will talk about the cargo space, but I hear it in my head all the time that when she sits in the back, I'm like, oh, I know the cargo space is too low.
Yeah, but for the people that don't need the cargo space, I think the sedan market, like the BMW i4 here, or the Audis, I think they're gonna get the run for the money with this new one because it's gonna be new and fresh and all the great new
and
hype
sporty.
around
That's the thing. It's sporty.
Yeah.
The smaller cars like the Model 3 is more in the sportier category, and it makes so much sense to tackle. I think for me it is the BMW 3 Series actually from the Ice Age, from the Ice Age. So this was also a very popular sporty car that people could afford. It's still expensive, but it was something that even young people could afford more or less to kind of reach this goal to own a BMW 3 Series. And I think with the Model 3 Highland, also Tesla can tackle especially this audience with the Plaid. As Plaid, they also I think they want to create the ultimate driving machine that is fun and sporty. Also with the performance pack they offer on Tesla, I think we will see. In my opinion, I assume they're gonna release also a sportier version of the Model 3 to have like a Model S Plaid and then Model 3 Highland in a sportier variant. I wouldn't say a Plaid, but let's see. We don't know. Maybe, but. Yeah, maybe. But
when it comes to price now, so they could, you know,
they could.
a couple of Plaid motors instead and say, one is only $50,000. When you know, it could be a beast. But it's also going to be interesting to see if this is the car that's going to get their first engine with no rare earth metals in them, as they talked about at the Investor Day. Because I think that's also going to be something that's going to cater to a lot of Europeans, that this is just going to be very environmental friendly vehicle overall. And then it's just going to be insanely good price for what you get. Because like I said also with the Model Y, but it's also because it's such a big car with the cargo space. But if you can get some of the stuff with all the other legacy automakers or all the other startups for that matter. But you have to go on compromise on something. But with Tesla, you really don't go on compromise. On the luxury side, maybe. You can't get the same kind of luxury as the Germans. But that is it. But I think we are tipping over to an area where people are they're willing to give up on the luxury to get the technology. I think technology is the new luxury. And I think that's why Tesla also have the biggest loyal customers. Their loyalty rating was 67.5 or something, if I remember correctly. The only automaker in the world that's loyalty rating went up this year, and the average was 46%, if I remember correctly. So Tesla is really keeping their customers, and I think it's because when you have tried a Tesla with the charging network, with the software, and you learn that it's the most safe car you can drive and the fun performance that is pretty much better than anything else out there, it definitely combined with everything else, it's going to be tough, even though you're going to come down to your BMW i4 nice car. You get in this nice saloon, and it's all good and dandy. But you're not gonna get the software. You're not gonna have the charging network. You're not gonna have the same safety or safety assist features. They have actually scored pretty badly, both in Australia in cap and Europe in cap, in the safety assist features compared to Tesla Model Y that 89% score is very, very good. So and then the Germans don't have any frunks, so you're missing 125 liters of cargo space right there compared to the Model Y anyway, right? And then also you have Tesla has quite big trunks, especially in the Model Y. So it's just like there is so many things you go and compromise on, and I think people are realizing that the more butts we get in seats and they test it out and try it out, and you get over to the other one, it's like, yeah, I like the interior and stuff like that, but yeah, but that screen, that little horizontal thing there, what are you doing?
I just wanted to add something here, because I think this is something that will be worse and worse, because what interfaces are we used to?
Yeah.
These interfaces. And these are perfected to the max. The development that went into the smartphone was for the last 10 years was so much different than the interfaces of the cars, and it's almost like dinosaur technology when you sit in one. And even if you have a little lag, just a little lag, those mobile phones are so responsive that you press on something, it's instant. And in the Tesla, it's much more similar to the mobile phone experience. I wouldn't say it's totally perfect. I've tested it a little bit. I mean, it's not, but I would say 95% of cases it's super responsive. Maybe sometimes it can glitch out somewhere in the interface or something very, but yeah, comparable to a mobile phone more. But if you compare it to the legacy auto guys doing their software, even the Americans as well, GM or Ford as well. It's. I mean, there was this video because the Mercedes put in the Drive Pilot, and it's the video where the touch screen is used, and it's just lagging to open up Tetris, the game. Yeah, and I've posted that on Twitter, formerly Twitter, and it's so ridiculous, because don't put in a feature like this if it doesn't work flawlessly. Because who do you want to surprise with that feature if it doesn't look good? I mean, we are used to interfaces that are super responsive, and I think more and more even older people are transitioning to using the smartphone. Of course, also the customer base of Mercedes is a little bit older, for example, but they are used to the smartphone as well. So at some point, the distance will get bigger and bigger, in my opinion. That's just something I wanted to add there, because like you said, technology is the new luxury, and I agree totally with that statement. That because even the German car manufacturers are cheaping out on their material inside of the car, even Mercedes. So this is a trend in the industry, even that the luxury car manufacturers are a little bit cheaping out on some areas. So it isn't as luxurious like Mercedes was a few years ago. But yeah, I just wanted to
it's the same thing like we have seen with the ID3. And I also think, because it was really hated on in the beginning because the materials inside was so bad. And I tested it out, one of the first ones, and yeah, it was really plastic feeling. It was like, okay, Tesla gets hate, and they come out with this kind of crap. And it's a nice, decent electric vehicle, but as I have said from the beginning, it's too expensive for what you get. It feels a little bit cheap, and now they come out with a refreshed one, and it's just very few facelift here and there, and then they have put in some more not luxury, but better materials inside the car to put it up a bit. But we also have to remember this car has been in production since 2019. Sure, it came out in 2020 because it took a year for them to get their software ready, and then they pushed them all out in the end of 2020, not to get fines, too big of a fine anyway. But that is the refresh from from legacy automakers, in my opinion. I think this is just such a good showcase that now we're here 4 years later from then the start of production, and their refresh is, a little bit, maybe some different headlights, and we're going to put in some different materials inside.
Wow.
Yeah, it's still the MEB platform. Yes, it's still the same crap inside, and it's still, no, you're not going to get more range. You're not going to. No, we haven't innovated on anything in 4 years. It's still the same car, but we made it just a little bit different. Where Tesla is going to come out with their refreshed Model 3, and it's going to be a completely new car from inside to the outside, and it's going to have a whole new production line because it's going to be built in a completely different way as well. So I think it's just a very good showcase of legacy versus Tesla.
Yeah, and I also think that the Model 3 Highland marks a total shift, because with that refresh, they're going to target the absolute mass market now. And I think they're going to go more and more into the mass market direction with this. Of course, they've announced that already, but I think the processes that they've learned from the Model 3 Highland line will be implemented in the Mexican line. And even this line will be much more advanced than the Model 3 Highland line for mass production in mind. So I think they're going to learn a lot from the Model 3 Highland version too, and then they trickle down to the smaller car in Mexico, which is even more improved. And then I think it will have maybe a halo effect at some time to go up the chain again to the Model Y line again, that they're going to improve the Model Y line afterwards. So step 1, Model 3 Highland line. Step 2, the Mexico line, a little bit more advanced, and then we have the Model Y line again improved globally, because they learn a lot. I think China for them is almost their design hub or experimental hub as well, and there they can really produce everything pretty secretively and do their stuff there, and of course also in Texas. But I think it's going to be very, very interesting. The future of Tesla in that sense that the Model 3 Highland will have a huge impact on and will pressure the competition actually. And you've touched on many points there as well that I think or what do you think also now for the comments again, if what you all guys think, which competition of Tesla or which car manufacturer is the most in trouble from the established manufacturers? That would interest me a lot. But Lars, maybe you can tell the audience your take on this. And for all the rest, please write it down below. It would interest me a lot. So what do you think? Who do you think is the most in trouble by Tesla reducing prices and coming out with mass production? I mean, it's crazy.
Well, the easy one is the Japanese, just in general. I think Mazda has just been out saying they're gonna, perfect the gasoline engine.
Come on.
So I think Mazda is gonna go pretty quickly, and I think Honda and Nissan and also Toyota. I just released a video today actually about Toyota, because their plan is to deliver 3.5 million electric vehicles in 2030, but only half of them is going to be BEVs. So the rest is, of course, hybrids or fuel cells or whatever other they call electric vehicles. But that means that in 2030, Toyota will have, because they sell around 10,000 vehicles a year. So
10 million, you mean 10
million. What did I say?
Yeah.
Anyway,
10,000.
Oh, 10 million. 10 million vehicles a year.
Yeah.
And, 1.7 million would be 17% of all of their vehicles. So they expect the global car market to be 17% BEV in 2030. China is already at 25% BEV.
Oh my God.
Now.
No chance. No chance.
It's 38%. And in Europe, we are at 15.1%. So by the end of the year, my guess is we are also going to be at 17%. I can only see that. Model Y ramping up, and everybody else is trying to ramp up as well. So Toyota is planning to be in 2030 where we are at today in Europe and in China. And we do see the US rising fast. The first half of 2023, they rose with 62% compared to last year. The first half of 2022, and last year they grew 36% compared to 2021. So they're growing faster now, and Tesla is ramping up Texas and coming out with a Cybertruck, and both GM and Ford are
timing,
forced to do something as they make next to nothing, and they have to get to a couple of millions in only 2 years or 3 years. So we're going to see a big ramp in the US as well. So they're going to get quickly up to 17%. I expect in a couple of years in the US as well, in 2026 or something like that. But that is the 80% of the entire world is going to be above 17% in 2 years. And Toyota expect that is not going to happen before 2030. So I think they have just made a plan to fail. They just don't see this coming, or they just can't react fast enough. I'm not sure which. And are they just hoping that somewhere their hydrogen technology can come in and rule the world? Which is never gonna happen. we have seen this so many times. So I think the Japanese automakers are in huge trouble. They have moved too late, and they've been focusing on the wrong propellant for so long. And then we have GM. They mostly talk, but their production ramp, they really have to show us something with the new Blazer EV. If you know, all they have come out so far is pretty much just for show. And look at the Cadillac Lyric. Yeah, it's very expensive, and you don't make any money. Then the Hummer EV is $100,000 electric dollars, and then they came out with the Escalade IQ that cost $130,000, and then they came out with the I can't remember the other one that cost $340,000. It's all, you know, for show and tell, and to look at this new shiny thing we have made. Don't talk about our production numbers. No, look at this new shiny thing we made. So I really think they are in huge trouble. I don't think they're ready for it, and their Ultimum platform feels very outdated. Even Sandy Munro have said that it's not good. They have not even really got momentum in production of anything on their Ultimum platform. And it's already outdated, and it's built on these pouch cells from LG.
Oh God, pouch cells! Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So,
what the hell is happening? Which year is it? Which year is it now?
They're in much bigger trouble than many realize. But
I'm gonna pull the picture up here. This one, you mean, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's nice. Looking,
of course, yeah. Design-wise, it's great, but
there's nothing there. But it's going to be much more expensive than a Model Y. So again,
so game over already. Damn.
I know. I don't think they have anything on the Model Y with the Blazer. So I think the Model Y is going to win every spec when they come out with all the specs. I think there's nothing the Blazer has that can, maybe charging speed, because GM has implemented really quick charging speeds in their cars. So maybe we'll have 350, I don't know. But anyway, it's going to be much more expensive than the Model Y. So yeah, who's going to buy that over the Model Y?
Yeah. Tough to know. But one thing I wanted to ask, how do you see, because for me, it's VW is also in big trouble, because they're in a weird position, actually. They're in this position of, we are mass markets, but we kind of have to go a little bit more into the luxury segment, but we are not there, because all the German car manufacturers are saying we won't participate in this price war. But now look what's happening. Which one is the people's car when a car from Tesla costs 20% less than your car? I think the people's car is a different car now, and the ultimate driving machine is a different car now from BMW, for example. So and luxury is a total different game when the technology is better. Mercedes. So I think Tesla is stealing all the DNA of different companies and putting it into their own DNA somehow. I mean, for example, the one thing that I really loved about the performance package, I've seen this, the track mode, for example, where you could adjust how much torque you want on which motor, the front one, or would you want front
Front drive, yeah.
drivetrain or the I don't know the I'm blanking out here. I have just the German word in my head, so it doesn't make sense. But front wheel drive, or do you want it real wheel drive or all wheel drive to drift on the track and stuff like this? So this seems a lot of fun, and it's on a great interface, and it makes it's fun to adjust everything. Yeah, this is for me the ultimate driving machine. And now VW with their mass market. I mean, how do you see the perception? Because VW, we have to give them credit in that sense that they made the biggest strides from the German EV makers, besides Mercedes. But I think because it isn't targeting the mass market, I think I'm a little bit pushing them aside now. But how do you see that? How do you feel it? Do you feel VW is in a good position to survive this and come out as maybe second place, pretty close to Tesla, like they already always say? After they said we're gonna surpass Tesla soon, but how do you see this?
Supposed to already win in 2018, but that didn't happen.
We're still waiting.
We're still waiting. No, I totally agree. I think they are actually in quite some trouble. First of all, their whole chaos with the software has been a big problem for them, and that is hurting them big time in China. And that is still their biggest market.
That's true.
And profit-wise, it's like 50% of their profit comes from China. So I think they are in trouble in China. They said 2 years ago, I think it was 2021, was supposed to get to 150,000 units sold of their ID family. And they didn't get close, and they didn't get close last year. And I don't think they're going to get close this year. So I think they're really in trouble in China. I don't think it's a production problem over there. I think they literally cannot sell much more than what they're doing right now, because there's just so much more competition, and everybody has all kind of high-tech, weird karaoke things, stuff like that in China, because the Chinese people love that. So, and then you come over to the ID3, and it's an electric car. Like, what is fun about this car? Oh, it has, heads-up display. Oh, great. Awesome feature. It's just boring. It's just ICE vehicle things they have of compelling technology inside the car. It's not really a fun car. It doesn't have a frunk. It doesn't have driver assist features. It doesn't really have anything. So I really think they are in trouble in China. And that is going to hurt them really, really much, because that's the biggest profit margins place. And I think that counts for all German automakers are in trouble in China. And I also think that's why they're starting to focus a bit more on the US because they know the Chinese has a hard time getting in over there. So they know, we're going to run over here and try to sell our electric vehicles over here instead. But I will also say with Volkswagen that yes, they did get the biggest gain fastest, but they're also the biggest. So in Europe, they kind of had to get up to that level, as we saw in 2020. They got a fine of over 100 million euros in 2020 because they missed their emission target. But now they have grown up to be above their emission target. So now they're not in such a hurry anymore, because we're home safe.
Interesting.
Right now. Their ICE sales are shrinking, so the overall fleet is shrinking. So if they just stay with the same size EVs, they are still above their targets. So they don't care. I think we're going to see a big bump in 2025, because that's when the new Euro 7, the first phase of it or whatever, where the passenger vehicles has to be at a certain emission standard. There they're going to have a big push. So I don't think we're going to see much in 2024. They, of course, all going to grow and try to grow a little bit, but they don't want to push it too hard because they lose money on selling every EV they do. So they think they have much more time than they do. So that's also a problem for them. So they just, we're going to wait it out. And then in 2025, when the new emission standards, we're going to bump it up a little bit. So be above the, and you can see it. I showed it in a video here a couple of days ago. I can't remember which video, but
you're doing so much. But I'm going to link it on the top. Maybe we can find out after the episode. You're going to tell me the video name. I'm going to write it down, and then we can.
Where I showed the the chart from a US Euro emission standard target and what the automakers are actually doing. And in 2020, we could see they were all just a little bit above the emission target. Nobody made like 20% more EVs than they had to. Everybody, no matter if it was the South Korean or whatever, they were all just a little bit above their emission target. So I really think it's starting to become really clear that they don't want to make more than they have to. And that's also why we see the US market of the other competition is pretty much absent. There is no competition over there. We have seen the first half of this year, Tesla is still 62%. Everybody else is like the bottom line of the chart. And that's because there is no emission standard over there forcing them to do it. And that's why Ford and GM have taken their time and not such a hurry. And GM is not even in Europe, so they don't really care too much. And why they're pretty much a joke today. So I think Volkswagen they made a big push, but they had to because they are the biggest boy. So now they have kind of slowed down. They fired Herbert Diess and delayed the Trinity platform. That is, in my opinion, the thing that could save them. This is like, you had to push harder for that. I know it's difficult to push for making software better and stuff like that, but the Trinity platform is the one that could save Volkswagen from the trend we're seeing right now, that people are looking at Volkswagen. Yeah, the EVs are not that great, or yeah, they're doing pretty well in Europe, of course, but and in the US, the ID4, they sold like 16,000 in the first half of 2023 here, where Rivian, the little new startup, they sold 15,000. So they almost as big as Volkswagen in the US in the EVs. Like,
That's crazy.
What happened there? So I think Volkswagen is a bit in trouble in so many ways. This chart, exactly.
Yeah, this one, was it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that was one. You can see the green dot is, the emission target. And there is no one that's like a huge mile under these targets. We can see Volkswagen in the bottom there. They just missed it by this much, and that cost them 100 million euros to do that. Suzuki got big fines, as we can see. They didn't make it because, Toyota and Mazda has pulled together. So they did it, but that's all on plug-in hybrids mostly. So that is also in 2025 and 2027. They're gonna lower because they have found out that plug-in hybrids are polluting much more than we thought they were, because people are not using them as much as EVs, but mostly ICE cars. So now they're actually changing to how it is in the real world. So they're going to change that law also. So the plug-in hybrids is also going to go away, and that's going to hurt like Mazda and Toyota that is not making much EVs here. But that is why they can be under their target, because they have a lot of plug-in hybrids. But as you can see, all the green dots, they are just on the other side of the blue there. There's nobody that's really like, oh yeah, we like 20% lower or anything. No, everybody has just tried to get just below their emission target, and Volkswagen tried to do, but they had so much delay with their EV production of their ID3 in 2020, and that was why they rushed them all out at the end of 2020. The Q4 delivery numbers of the ID3 was just in Q4 last year, like 2 years later. That was the first time they beat that record. So really showed that they were just pushing out these cars, and we had them on Danish national TV here in Denmark because there were so many unhappy customers because it was not a finished product. They just pushed them out and put them out to dealers, and the software sucked, and the car couldn't start, and they were stuck in the garage, and so there were people that had to. Volkswagen took cars back from people I know about here in Denmark. So unfortunately, it's most for show. So I don't think we're going to see a huge ramp from Volkswagen or anybody else in 2024. But I think we're going to see a lot of ramp from the Chinese and from Tesla. And I think that the legacy automakers, unfortunately, think we have a lot of time and are really short-term minded, like Volkswagen that is coming out now and raising all the prices on the ICE vehicles. because they want to have some profit here in short term and show all the investors that we're doing great, nothing to worry about here.
Nothing to see here. Please move on. Nothing to see here. We have
Everything is
everything under control. Yeah, exactly.
No, what? No, all good. So
Yeah,
I
but
think
the
it's
VW brand CEO said the roof is on fire, so this isn't as secretive right now. And
no.
I think last month they beat Tesla in sales. Some I think in Germany, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And this won't hold up as much because we have some quarters where the sales are down, and then Tesla suddenly pushes them out, or they're in delivery, for example, something like this, or on the ships. You've already tracked some ships, but yeah, I just wanted to add that. Please go on. I didn't want to interrupt as much, please.
Yeah, exactly. Because the Model 3 comes from China still, and it's still the second best-selling electric vehicle in Europe. So of course, when there is nothing here in the beginning of the quarter, there's not going to be much sales for Tesla. So but
I'm gonna pull that up here. You can see the numbers globally, the top 500, also from your last video. Yeah. I just wanted to bring it up.
Three still doing great, so we have to remember that, and that comes from China. So in the beginning of every quarter, we are missing all the sales from the second best-selling EV in Europe, and it has been the same story for the last 10 years. That everybody's like, look, Tesla is down. Yes, it's the first month of the new quarter. It's the same every quarter. So
since years. Yeah.
I've been talking about this so many times. It's getting old.
Maybe you just can record one video and just replay it and just press a button. Again, this topic. Wait a second here.
Re-upload. Yeah, but I really think Volkswagen and the legacy automakers are in big trouble because there's so many things in play for them, and I do not envy them. They are in a really, really tough position. They have to wind down their profitable business without dying, and they have to ramp up an unprofitable business without dying. And they have competitors like Tesla and all the Chinese that is just and new electric EV startups that doesn't have this legacy baggage of all their ICE vehicles, and they also have to run and make money on and all that stuff. So they can just ramp up as fast as they can, and BYD and Tesla is doing exactly that, and they're really going to hurt the old guys, I think. And I think BMW is really making some bad moves, and they want to make hydrogen cars now. And like, oh my God, because the hydrogen car is going to be the next hip thing. As was that Oliver Bloom or whoever said that? Like, oh my God.
Don't tell him that in England they already, or in the UK they already discontinued many hydrogen stations and stuff like this. So
also in Germany.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's what I wanted to come to next. Yeah, in UK, then Germany, and this project didn't really work. And now all the gas stations already. I think there is a smaller trend. You can feel it in the industry. It's not research as much, so take it with a grain of salt, but they will put up electric chargers there to don't get out of business there, to sell you a sandwich at least, if they can't sell you.
EV customers are much better customers. They stay a lot longer.
Yeah, exactly. Sell them some snacks. It totally overpriced snacks.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Lars, I think we have to wrap up the episode here because we could talk for hours, and we don't have. I mean, for us it's already night, so we have to keep on going. But I think it was very interesting having you on. You really touched on very interesting points. I think we've highlighted that Tesla is in. Now we just it's grab your popcorn and just watch. I mean, we see the thesis that we had for many years before. We've looked into everything, and for many, many years, especially through the 2020s, 2021, 2022, the COVID years. And now we are here where Tesla's just executing. We can watch, and the whole industry is already, now you can really see the signs. The things that were predicted for years are now happening, sometimes in a different pace, or surprising candidates like Toyota doing nothing. So surprising for me. I thought, okay, I mean, they had the they had the hybrid technology at first. I mean, this was a good move as a transitionary technology to EVs, but they missed the train. They just missed the train and are sitting on the sideline and just watching like hydrogen, no, and oh God, please, anyone. So yeah, it's a pretty sad and many exciting news we've heard. I mean, we've talked about the Model 3 Highland, absolutely amazing car. I hope it's going to be revealed soon, and I'm going to pre-order one. I'm going to do it. They're going to get it here, and I just wanted to add something here because the Model 3 Highland looks actually a lot Mazda DNA is in here, I think, because Holzhausen was at Mazda before, and he really really made great designs. You could really see his handwriting almost on the Mazda cars, and I also think the Mazda cars always looked very sporty and cool, I think, in my opinion. And you can really see the DNA here in the headlights, a little bit in the lip that you can see here. I think it's a little bit higher now. The smaller lip is gone. The design is much more improved, in my opinion. So let's see if this comes out this way, or maybe it's a different design. We don't really know, but this is almost, let's say, 70% confirmed. Maybe we're going to see some surprises. But yeah, Lars, thank you very much for being on. Great episode. Maybe you can tell my audience maybe a question you want to ask them that they can answer down below, or maybe you can just tell the audience what you're up to, what you're working on, or what's on your heart. So please do. Now you got the stage and can
my
tell everyone.
heart is that all the people watching, you should subscribe to Tesla Fix because
absolutely.
And if you're watching anyway, subscribe. It really helps Jan out a lot. So please do that. And I am going to invite Jan to my show later. So stay tuned for
awesome.
that as well.
Yeah, of course. I'm pretty pumped for this. I'm going to be there. And then we'll have a lot of fun because with you, always, like I always say, the chemistry is very great. I really enjoyed our conversations. Very lighthearted and fun. So, Lars, thanks for being on. Yeah, thank you. So please, everybody, check out Lars if you don't have subscribed to him. He's an awesome creator. He does great research, and his videos are very well researched, I think. And also a source for my information, of course. I always watch your videos. So please, everybody, check out Lars if you haven't already. And Lars, there's only one last thing to say now, and that's goodbye, everybody.
Wasn't this episode awesome? Let's accelerate the pace of innovation by subscribing to Tesla Fix. It is my absolute favorite channel on the whole interwebs.